Kia ora, I'm Julia West. I grew up in a small community called Raitahi. I always knew that I was of Maori descent. I qualified as an early childhood teacher and started looking at searching for my roots. And that continued for about 20 odd years. I came up here looking and searching, but didn't really know I even had relations up here. In 2014, we as a family came back to the 150th commemoration. And we were brought back here through a thesis that Hazel Wander wrote, Emerging from the Embers. In 2018, I was privileged to be at a hui at Purakiraki Marae, where a group of kaumātua were formed to look at Maniapoto treaty settlements. At this particular stage, the Crown was looking at us as being part of that settlement. The next month we went to Kahatia Marae and Te Waha Tura was formed. We ended up initially in the Wairapa, and then from the Wairapa, when my great-grandmother and grandfather died, my grandfather and his whānau moved to the Waimarino, Raitahi, where we settled. And we stayed there for many years. And from then, we moved all over the countryside. I had 15 uncles and aunties, so we have a massive whānau. I think the thing that drew me back to Apakura was my relationship with God. I had actually prayed about it, and I felt God was calling me back here for a purpose. And when I stood at Kahatia Marae, he had given me a word for Apakura, and that word was that he was going to use Apakura to unite Māori throughout New Zealand. Now that's a huge mandate. So I'm on this journey of self-discovery, of discovering what God's going to do and how he's going to do it, and how he's going to use Apakura to unite Māori throughout New Zealand. The word that he gave me was just like the children of Israel, we've been in the desert for long enough, and he is going to unite us and use us. So for me, the drawback here was first of all my identity as Apakura, but also to my identity as a child of God. I followed Te Waha Tura. I kind of tagged along behind them and went to all the hui around the rohi, the motai. I went all over the place with them and just sat on the door, this blonde-headed Pākehā-looking person, and we connected with people. I think that relationship and connecting with people is the most important thing. If we do nothing from all of this, the fact that we actually are able to join back together again and build relationship and help people through the mamai of being disconnected, we will have achieved everything. Putia, I've been the treasurer for a while, where I was until Barlow and Marita arrived. But really Putia is secondary to where we're at. We need to be able to be a people that can love one another, look after one another, and care for one another, and show manaaki to one another. We've got lots of wounded people in our community, in our country even, and a lot of it could stem to some of the happenings of 1864, unresolved issues, lack of reconciliation, lack of restitution, lack of actually recognising the mamai that has happened. We're certainly a lot further ahead than we were 20 odd years ago, but we still have a lot of bigotry out there. People just don't understand what it's like. When I try to think of the hurt that my whānau must have gone through, I think of my section of land, my little castle that I've got. And I think of the government coming in and saying, well, you know, that parcel is no longer yours and you have to move. And that's really what it was like for them. They were left with absolutely nothing. I think once we get past it and we receive an apology from the government, forgiveness can happen, then we will be able to move on as a people. So there are lots of things that are holding us. There are lots of things that need to happen. But it is a process that we've got to work through. And at the moment, we also have to reconcile with one another. And that's really more important than the government. And it's the hardest thing because we've all got different ideas about things and we all think differently. I think that this journey is an exciting journey. It's also a very difficult journey. And there are lots of roadblocks along the way, lots of things that will happen. But through it all, we have to recognise that we are all unique, that we're all special, and that we're all loved by God.